Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a special person with me today. Her name is Thais Gomez Gascon. I got that. I got it. You guys, there was a bit of a delay. All right. So now I brought her on today because she has a fabulous story to share. I think inspirational, how she got into learning, and she's going to get into all that because I'm going to pick her brain about it. The other thing is that she's one of my past students from designing e-learning scenarios. So basically what I wanted to dig into today is just what her experience was before the course, during the course, and then just what are some, she's a practitioner. So she's applying these things. She's also, from what I can see, if you look a little bit at her profile, she's one of those people who has a thirst for learning. So she is always asking questions. She's always commenting, adding value in the group as well. Somebody who is always learning and trying to improve their craft. So I think she's a great inspirational for other students who are just joining, but also for other people who maybe start off on a different path and maybe somehow end up someplace else than they originally decided to go. Okay, so Thais, tell us, your background a little bit, how you get started in this, and who you now serve.
Yes, well, I am an electronic engineer from Venezuela. I work there for the rail environment, working in the engineering systems that support the location of the trains and to control and monitor remotely the trains from these control rooms where you see these operators with big screens and they can stop trains and do lots of fun stuff from a central location. And in my engineering career, I always had to train other younger engineers or the technicians that were with me in how to understand these systems, because people, they didn't want to get there. It was like, oh, that's the yucky stuff with codes and we don't want to get there. So I was always trying to make it easy to understand for others and delivering training. So I saw that part of my job, it was something that I really liked. I enjoy more than the engineering yucky things. And that's how I was always in my mind thinking, someday I would like to be a teacher. I don't know. At that point, I just thought maybe I'm supposed to be a school teacher, because I didn't know how to transition from engineering to something else. But I always knew, okay, I like teaching, I like to help people, and I like to help them understand difficult concepts. Then I moved to Australia. I work again in my field in engineering, but here I have more opportunity to develop training for my colleagues, again, on the systems I was using. And my target audience always has been technicians, other engineers, colleagues, definitely lots of people in the corporate sector, people that are working for different services.
So basically people who need to use, you're developing things to help them do their work better.
Yes, exactly.
In essence. So that's really cool. I could see that if you're in a very specialized area, a transition to e-learning or instructional design is probably not automatic, right? But this is great. You get an opportunity now to build and coach and train people. And I like what you said, teaching people maybe complex concepts in a way that they would be able to understand it, which is fantastic. So this is also, I think this is really cool because obviously you are multilingual, right? So you're speaking in, how many languages do you speak?
Just Spanish and English.
See, that's not just, because most people just speak one, in North America it's just one. So that's fantastic because it obviously gives you an advantage, because now you have two languages that you can communicate that in. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Awesome. So you're working as an engineer, but you get a chance to develop resources for your colleagues, right? In essence. So how do you what kind of resources are you developing at this point? What's going on?
I was doing technical manuals, like how to do maintenance on this engineering equipment. Like I was doing step by steps with images, and this is what you have to do in these situations. And I also had to do face-to-face training or demonstrations of how to use this equipment, or even at some point I had a simulator on one of these engineering systems, and I was simulating like difficult situations, what was the worst thing that could happen. And yeah, it was good because I could see the technicians practicing and in a safe environment where they can make mistakes and nothing happens. But then also to start thinking, how would you feel if something like that happened while you're working, like especially with trains or with the engineering infrastructure. It has a technician that has to support and diagnose faults. What would you do in these situations? Because you can sometimes, if you're nervous, you can just block and then you don't know what to do in this situation. So we could simulate in a safe environment. Okay, what is the first thing you should think, or where you should get support? What is that guide or infographic that you should read, or step 1, 2, 3? I love steps, so I'm all the time trying to do processes that with every single step to make people feel okay, I have this support, nothing to worry about. Yeah, I have something. So at the beginning, it was this technical guide, step by step processes with pictures and all that. And then I wanted to do something in the online environment, but because I have also colleagues that were in remote areas, but I didn't know about this software to develop e-learning. At that point, I was like creating in HTML. I was really, really crazy. Creating sort of a website where you could access the important information. And that's how I started with HTML and coding. And then at some point I discovered this software that are just amazing to let you create really good things.
So it's kind of interesting. I can't believe you built everything from scratch. But hey, if you're determined, you will find a way.
Yes.
So now you wanted to develop, like, why did you see some examples that inspired you? Why e-learning?
Yeah, I was I knew to access these people, to get to them, the information to them. Sometimes I saw people didn't want to read manuals, they didn't want to read more documents. And I started seeing that with a nice format online, they were more engaged. And yeah, they're interested in reading something quickly on the computer. That's how I could get into more access to these learners. So, and then I started investigating, okay, how to develop e-learning. And I found your website. I didn't know the word instructional design. I didn't know that exists. I was like, what is this? And then I started investigating in job search websites like instructional designer. And then when I had the list of things that we do or we are supposed to do, I was like, wow, this is what I want to be. I finally found something. It's instructional design because I like to think how people learn and try to implement strategies, not just dump information, but just to make something useful. If I'm gonna have your attention for 30, 20 minutes, it has to be, I have the best time. It has to be interesting and you have to get the most out of it. Because, I'm lucky to have your 30-minute time. I see that learner's time has value. So if I have your 30 minutes, 20 minutes, I'm lucky. So I have to take advantage of that. And I found your course because I didn't know how to study or learn more about it. That's how I enrolled in not in that scenario. At that time was the first one. It was like
Skillagents.
Skillagents. Yeah, that was the first one I did. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you were a skill agent too. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay. So, Okay, so I got to ask you here. So you're, it's funny because you said you like steps,
Yeah, I love
but
STEM.
but it's like, have you read that book, The Checklist Manifesto?
Oh no, but that sounds good. I love checklist. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny because in the Checklist Manifesto, I think it's by Atul Gawande. It's tiny book because it's about checklists. But he talks about how even the most sophisticated systems, like even for for astronauts and everything, they just have really good steps and checklists, and that's all. And nobody remembers anything. They just go check, 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 right? So that engineering part of you probably really picked that up. And honestly, to make that to have that skill set and to do it well is a really big advantage, I think, for this space, because I don't think very many people know how to do that well. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's cool, because you can, I'm sure engineering is very logical and practical in all those steps. So that's it's wonderful that you're bringing that to mushing these two things. It's fantastic.
Yeah, yes.
Cool. So, okay. All right. So you start off with Skillagents. I did not know this. I thought you were just like straight into, okay. So great. Okay. So why Skillagents? Why did you decide to go for it?
Yeah, well, when you send on your website that the learner-centered approach, I was like, wow, yeah, this resonated with me because I like to help people. I'm all the time thinking of my learners and how can I help them. I just love to help people, and when I see my learner that they're doing their job, wow, they're doing things better. That just makes my day. So that learner center all the time in your website was like, yeah, definitely I'll get into this. And it was all the time throughout the training to even when you talk to subject matter experts, yeah, it's it's all the time that learner centered approach that really got me to the training. And I learned a lot of things like I didn't know the terminology like SMEs or how to go on meetings with them. And I remember I had a questionnaire from the course on what questions to ask, and you had examples there that I was like, oh yeah, this is so useful for what I'm trying to do. And I started using those resources when I moved into the instructional design role in the same organization I was working here in Australia. They gave me the opportunity to move to learning and development officially, no more engineering. I was officially now in learning and development. And it was good because when I went to these meetings, I could understand everything. You know, I wasn't lost. No, I knew what they were talking about. I knew, okay, we need to go with some questions. So I took your questions
Good.
for my first project. So it really helped me to, look at least confident in my new role because I was new into officially being full time in L&D.
That's cool. And it's so weird because it doesn't matter, I mean, I think you're very confident, and you come in with, like, for any person who comes into a room and says, I'm an engineer, I'd be like, whoa, right? But then all of a sudden it's a new context and you're like, I'm the new kid, right?
Oh yeah. People is I always get that like, wow, engineer, but no, I am a little bit scared because I'm not a school teacher or I'm not an educator like my first career. So yeah.
It's so funny. I don't think that should ever hold you back, because obviously you've already been a teacher, really, just teaching other your peers. So that's awesome. So, okay. So so, all right. So, as far as, so I'm glad you use some of those tools, because really they were tools that I used as well. And I was like, okay, somebody will probably use this. That's why the examples came from my own projects. But, now, learner-centered design, all those things, they're not commonplace in the sense that a lot of people just want to give you content and then have you make that content pretty. So how do you get around people wanting to just have you convert things from one kind of text to another kind of text?
Yeah, I get that all the time. Every new project starts with, we have this PowerPoint, lots of policies, and just make it online, like a web developer sort of thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Eh, okay, but what do people need to do with this information? I always go back to, okay, what are our learning objectives? It's been a difficult process here because in the organization we didn't even have learning management system. It was all new. So we had to develop templates like consultation forms when we go on these meetings. And it's been an education process. So what I do is, because of course the subject matter experts don't know anything about this, and they don't have to know about it.
Yeah.
They are busy with their own projects. So I just come with my forms because I love my tools and my templates. I come with these forms with all the questions. What are we trying to achieve? What is the main goal? And then I help them design the learning objectives. I say 4 or 5 points, and then all the content, assessment, everything will be aligned to those learning objectives. So I want to make sure that this is what we are going to achieve and how can we measure. And then I guess with templates and a little bit at a time, they start seeing how the project of e-learning development goes, and they understand, okay, yeah, this is completely different to that first PowerPoint with 100 slides that they wanted to put online. So also I always inform the subject matter experts of the things that we could do better. Like, look, this is too long. People are just gonna fall asleep in their computer, so they will just click
You
on the
say
next
that?
slide.
You say that.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
I say always in a nice tone, so people take it in a good. They will just click next, and they will just finish, and nothing will stick. And so I always try to say, let's concentrate on the key messages, and all those other extras are important. Let's put them as an attachment, as extra resources they can download and keep in their computers or check on the intranet. So they sort of come on board with those things. And sometimes they ask me, look, I know this is a lot of text, but we want to put it. And sometimes I don't win. But I say, okay, let's put it, but let's make a list, or let's make it at least more plain English, not lots of legislation or difficult to understand. And yeah, sometimes it's negotiating with them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I like how you said that about the language, though, because I think that you can still, even if something is not engaging, you could at least make it understandable. That language is so important, right? Like readability and simplicity and clarity, huge. Yeah. Even just that part alone, if everything was just made a little bit easier to read, that would be half the battle sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, I get that. That's fantastic. So it's like, I like your approach. I mean, obviously you can't win all the battles, but you can, it's interesting because you get them to, I think a lot of times resistance comes from people who don't understand the process and are scared of maybe having to do too much. Mm-hmm. But you said something awesome. They don't have to be experts in learning because that's you, right? Yeah. You provide the workflow and the templates, and give them advice, right? I love that you're going to say, hey, people are going to fall asleep. Because if you really, if somebody really loves the topic, then they want as many people to know about it as possible and not put them to sleep, right? They want somebody to be like, I want you to be excited about this just like I am, right? Yes. So you're going to say they're not excited about it at all.
Yeah, sometimes I get lots of content that, look, this is going to be 2 hours in a computer training. It's too long. Look, Instagram now, videos. People love them because it's 1 minute or less and they are engaged. So sometimes what I try to do, if all the content needs to go, I just split into smaller modules. So we say module 1, 2, 3, and try to leave them 30 minutes is the longest, and do it that way. Mm-hmm. They're happy. Like I would prefer that it was shorter, but if they want okay, let's do it, but let's split it into smaller modules.
Yeah, chunk it at least to give people a sense of accomplishment, right? Like, okay, one down. Yeah, it's huge. You can build in little pieces, right? that really affect the experience. So now, after going through Skillagents, this learner-centered mindset, how do you think your work or what you did changed after that?
Yeah, well, it changed a lot of, at the beginning, I would create just e-learning maybe, or all the face-to-face sessions just with, oh, they need to know all this content. But now, yeah, definitely changed my mind to, okay, no, really, what do they need to know to do their jobs better? And what is this other information that they can just go on Google or, on the document and read it? Because, we don't want to put too much information into their brains because it's impossible. No one can remember everything. And so it definitely changed my design strategy, and now I even develop an e-learning strategy for our organization, where I put all those, okay, e-learning modules need to have these features. They need to be with learning objectives. They need to, express why it is important for them to do this training. All these features, and it is helping me to slowly move training to something more meaningful. So it definitely shaped a lot of the things that I'm doing here, like the learning strategy, also those templates that I used to work with the subject matter experts is helping me a lot.
So now, what was the thing that made you want to actually go out and learn more stuff? Like, say, I'm going to actually invest the time to learn about this learner-centered design, because you said it resonated with you.
Yeah.
But was there something that you were like, oh, this isn't the way I want it to be? Was there a moment like that you were like, can I make this better?
Yeah. Well, I think the first module I got out there, I wasn't really proud of. On reading the feedback, I was like, I just converted something from PowerPoint to online, but I'm not really proud of this. And let's make it different. And let's make it better. I just want to people be happy about learning. Um, and I also found the scenario, the coworker. What was the name with the cartoon?
Broken coworker.
Yeah, I love that one. I say, look, it can be fun too. And although it was a little bit stressful when I was doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, poor guy. I'm a little bit feel bad about him.
Perfect. That's the point. Yes.
Yeah, emotions, and it's sort of like a little movie, and that's what, it's like being a little bit of filmmaker and thinking like of the story and how to engage and give real examples. And we have lots of examples in the work every day, but we should use them more into this e-learning rather than procedures. Let's use examples. And definitely I really like that. I was like, wow, this is possible. Let's try to do more of this type of learning.
Oh, that's great. So what, like, to you, like, what would be, let's say, an indication to you that you had become a learner-centered designer, that you got it, you were like successful? What would that be? What would that be in your mind?
Yeah, for me, well, first I always put as I feel as a learner all the time. So I'm always, when I develop, at some point I just sit with a cup of coffee and I'm gonna do this training as a learner, not as the designer. And then I learn a lot because I have to develop lots of processes and training for the organization, that I know a lot of things in areas that, finance, HR, things that I'm not supposed to know. And learning, and also I always check the surveys. I always put links to surveys, and I always read what people are saying. And that's the best way. When I see, people are happy, I always ask in the survey, what did you learn? And I see, okay, people are really learning and they are putting into practice all the information we put in the training module. So yeah, that's the best way to say it, is people implementing those skills of the training.
That's fantastic. Do you have access to your learners, your end user?
Yes.
You lucky
Oh, they are
bum.
my colleagues. Yeah, they are my colleagues. I have to do my own training.
That's fantastic. I think that's great. I think it's kind of rare.
So I asked them, and when we release a new module, and sometimes I'm walking around the organization, I can see people doing the training.
You're spying on them while they're doing it.
I asked them, what do you think?
That's great. That's fantastic. So when you first started with Skillagents, period, what did you feel? Were you excited, skeptical, reluctant?
Oh no, I was really excited about it. And you had your really nice videos. You had short hair back then, really nice, pretty videos. So yeah, no, I was really happy to do, and easy to understand, and with really useful tools. That's what I found. I was like, wow, I could start using this straight away.
Good. Was there anything different than you expected?
No, I was expecting the best from you. And lots of pressure now. No, you deliver what you say on the course, and even more, because I didn't know I could download those resources that I would be using the same thing, just print and use. So yeah, and the videos with other experts in learning, they were so good, like a more informal conversations, and they giving advice, and people that then I follow on Twitter and also see what they're doing. So no, it was really good.
Good, great. So which parts did you actually found most useful for you?
Definitely the videos, and you always had these tips coming through the videos, and I was taking notes or stopping, and then I should do this or that. I love videos in general, so the videos were most useful, and they were short too, so easy to follow. On the
I think
course.
the longest one is like maybe 20 minutes max, but that one is probably the Sherlock Holmes one or something like that. That one was my favorite. So, okay, you're working, you're educating yourself, you're transitioning from this one kind of domain to another. So what kind of support did you have on your journey? Where did you find your support?
Yeah, well, changing career, because my partner, he wasn't sure what I was doing. He knew I wanted to change career, and he wasn't sure to what. He was instructional designer. I said, yeah, I'll support you, but he wasn't sure. I was sort of doing it on my own, but he was happy. He said, you do what you love. If this is what you like, just keep going. But yeah, I was sort of doing secretly, because lots of my friends, engineers, were like, you're crazy. Engineers are the best. What are you doing?
Well,
So
they're right. They're partly right.
Yeah, I didn't want to, offend them by changing careers like that. So yeah, just my husband, I think, and also the forums that you had in the course. I saw other people's living the same things I was living on the Facebook community. Was like, it's lots of people doing the same thing in different parts of the world, and they are creating great learning for corporate or different sectors. And yeah, I'm not the only one.
That's fantastic. That's really cool. The community is huge, especially I notice, see, you're trying to do this by yourself. I'm glad your husband, at least, even if he didn't know what we do, because most of our relatives and husbands don't know what we do, but that he supported you anyways. That's great. So now, what were the hardest things about sticking to this new learner-centered design? Did you ever get discouraged that, because like you said, people will come to you and they have an expectation about what should happen, what should something maybe look like, or how fast. And you're like, and every time that happens, you have to go, okay, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's difficult because they don't think about the learner. They just want to achieve job tasks that they have, something in their, in their annual, I don't know, plans that they have
Hmm.
to do this project, and they don't think. And I have sometimes saying, look, uh, I don't care if they like it or not. We need to put this content out there. And I was like, oh my God, no, I want people to like it, because this is not the only module they will do. I will be releasing different modules in a year. And I don't want it to see that, okay, again, another module I have to do. Great. I just wanted to, that they need to like it. So in those cases that, they are very strict with what they want, I try to at least then that's when I try to make it look prettier as I can. Or let's add a video of a manager explaining something. And sometimes I have to say I'm not 100% happy with the content I put there, but I have to. But at least I try to make it as prettier as I can. And if they want also a long quiz at the end, I said, no, let's instead of a long quiz that is gonna stress people, let's put some different knowledge checkpoints here and there, and to, at least alleviate a little bit the stress of sitting on a training. Or sometimes they want to lock the navigation, and no, they want to lock the next button and all these things. I say, okay, instead of doing that, let's put into sections, and then at the end, you can navigate freely on that section, and then let's put a question here or a scenario, or knowledge check. And if you successfully answer that question, you can move on. If not, okay, you stay on that loop until you get it right. But just try with, you have to be very patient. And sometimes I develop something they don't want, but I just create it quickly, inarticulate, and then look how it would look. Would you like this? If I show them, sometimes they are, "Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't know this was possible. Okay, let's do this." So sometimes I have to even work more, but if I show them how it would look, like a first prototype, then it opens their mind a little bit more. Okay, let's try.
Good. Cool. That's excellent. It's funny. You're kind of you're getting this stuff and you're getting resistance, but you're trying to like negotiate little pieces in there. You're like, let's
Oh,
sneak in. I like
yeah,
it. It's very neat. You're very creative. Like the fact that you're trying to do all these little things, because it sounds very much like just what you said, that you care about the learner and you want them to
yeah,
enjoy it. But you also said something very important, which I think that a lot of people don't don't think about, and that's the fact that you're setting an expectation with every piece you release. They are, in a way, going to think that every single piece you release in the future is going to be just as good or just as bad, right? So
yeah.
you're trying to do the best you can with that piece. And I think sometimes, you come into a new organization, and if they've had terrible stuff for a really long time, then you have to fight that. You have to undo all that bad
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, I guess sometimes we have to deliver those modules that are very technical and hard to understand. But then, yeah, as I said, I try to the best I can. I negotiate to make it a little bit fun. And yeah, I always say, look, we need to try to maintain a good perception so people are happy to learn. Because sometimes, they just want to do their job. They don't want to do more training.
Yeah.
So let's make it fun the same way I enjoy learning. Yeah, and then, yeah, subject matter experts eventually come on board. And it's a lot of
Yeah. But I like that you're sneaking in things, you're showing them prototypes, you're obviously, I think, building on the positive experience they're having. So it's like, it's change management. It's so much, right? So
yes.
much. So have you had a moment where you were like, oh, that was worth it, all that hard work? Have you had any of those?
Yes, yeah. Sometimes I have to work on a project that I have to share with different subject matter experts, and everybody has a different opinion. I want this change, and then the other, okay, no, I want something completely different. And I'm like 3 months doing changes and changes, and he never moves on. I said, this is never going to be implemented. And then when finally gets out there, it's a party. I feel so happy. I'm gonna have a coffee and a brownie to celebrate because something simple, but I need to this little celebration.
I love it.
Months of work and changing, and finally when it's out there, yeah, just to do that tick on my to-do list,
Yes.
that happy
Yes.
moment.
Huge accomplishment. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to have a quote out there. I'm going to celebrate with a coffee and a brownie. A project celebration. I love it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be big, but it's just, that personal achievement, like, okay, yeah, I got it. I did it.
Yes, totally. And just one less thing to clutter your mind, because those unfinished projects they take up mental capital, right? So
Yeah.
it's
And it's
hard to,
difficult also when you test because your eyes and brain are in this project for so long that sometimes it's that mistake that you don't see because you've been working and working.
yeah.
So yeah, it's like, oh my, I need to do something different.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you don't see your own mistakes yeah, like you said. And to you, it's clear because you know all the reasons behind it, right? So that makes total sense. So now, as far as how is now that you've taken both my courses, right? Designing e-learning scenarios as
Yes.
well. That's cool. What was it about? Was there any pieces in that course that you're using that you found useful?
Oh no, the scenario was even better, I think.
More
than the
practical, even, right?
Yeah, more practical. I love it. Like, I have my folder. I'll show you. I have my folder that I take with me to meetings everywhere. Every time I go somewhere in my job, I'm all the time with this folder. And I use a lot, not just for scenarios, but for learning in general, your steps. I love steps.
Oh gosh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's great. That's excellent.
Yeah, I use them all the time. I start, okay, what is our goal? I follow all those steps and sometimes I forget. Or let me go again and see, okay, yes. And I
I gotta
always,
make that image. I gotta make it more sexy. So it's like I'm like, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's
no, it's really
that's
good. I
good.
use it all the time, not just for scenarios, but for all my projects.
Oh, cool. It is because you're right. It is a project methodology, really, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Excellent.
And for the scenarios, I don't know if I can show your tools. Yeah,
Go for
but
it.
yeah, I use for the scenarios, your table. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah. Yes, I can see that. Oh, that's so cool. Thais,
round
thanks.
table. And then I share with the subject matter experts. I give them this table. I say, here you're going to put what is our general scenario, then the consequences, and they understand so quickly. And then they give me the table with all the information.
No
Then I
way.
just put my scenario.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I know
That's
you created really good tools.
Oh, thank you. Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's fantastic, Thais. I love
Yay.
it. That's great. So, okay. So I wanted to ask you because there's people who are either trying to switch into this. Some of them are coming from training, but now they're building e-learning, and as you know, from training to e-learning, different mindsets, mediums, all kinds of stuff. So what are some what would you suggest to somebody who's trying to make the transition into designing e-learning for adults?
Okay, I would say try to build something like just download a demo software. You don't need to buy anything, or even in PowerPoint. And yeah, and always define your learning objectives. Not something too ambitious, but even if you see a little problem in your work, even if no one asks you for training, there's always opportunity for improvement. So, okay, maybe this is a customer service is not working here. So, and build your training to improve that customer service, for example, in PowerPoint, and using work examples without saying names. There are lots, but yeah, and make it really relevant to, and then present it to your manager or even to your colleagues. Or I just did this on my own, and because I think we could improve in this customer service, and uh, and share with others, share that what you did. And then if you feel confident and people, yeah, this is something good, we could use it, then try to build it in one of these e-learning platforms that now you can just import PowerPoint and then just make it pretty. But don't stress about the technology. It's true, there are so many tools out there. We can never keep up. So just, it's about the content, the context, to make it relevant. And always think about your learners. Yeah, I always like to think, how would they feel with this? Is it useful? And yeah, I guess you learn lots of theory, or has a trainer, and I did also a master's in instructional design, and lots of theory, and I was like, my brain, I was getting so tired with all this knowledge, which was good. I like to learn all that, but yeah, just keep it simple, and yeah, always with the mind that you need to achieve specific learning goals. And because yeah, you can get lost while you're building e-learning with all these uh, triggers and animations and things. So it's just, yeah, keep it simple.
That's totally true. I agree. So, okay, let's say you're thinking of yourself 10 years ago. What advice would you give to yourself?
Oh, I would say do what you love. Do what you love, and stop thinking. Just put into action, put some actions into those dreams. Yeah, because back then I knew, okay, I was okay as an engineer, but I would do my job from 8 to 4, and that's it. I didn't want to put more effort into that. I didn't want to study more about the engineering. But when I got into this field, I'm so happy to come to work. I enjoy what I'm doing. And even when I go home, I keep reading blogs or listening to podcasts about it. I write my own blog about it. So it's I just love it. So definitely do something. Do what you love, because then you will enjoy your work. It's like holidays every day.
That's fantastic. That's totally true. So what I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned this in your bio, and I know I'm going to keep it short on time now.
Yeah.
But you are digging into virtual reality.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit of electronic engineering still.
I like it. That's awesome. You never leave that stuff, right? It's always with you.
Yeah, it's always with me. Yeah, because lots of the training now in my work area sometimes is with electrical systems. It is hard. I have done training in these systems that are difficult. You have to shut down a power station, and it's a lot of resources just to get me practice how to shut down an equipment, or practice how to do maintenance in an equipment. So I say, look, this could be in a simulator environment, like with virtual reality. The technology is getting better with controllers, and also it's like sort of game. And yeah, you can simulate how to operate that equipment in your office, and you can practice. And then, of course, you will need a practice in the real equipment. But at least this will give you more confidence. You will remember more what you're doing. And yeah, I'm learning. I'm just doing some these Coursera topics on VR and exploring some software, and I'm getting some interest this year. I'm very excited to work with me. They come from game design, but they don't know, but they'll be doing some solution for training. And yeah, let's see how we go. Is at the moment we're just experimenting, but I know there's already lots of training with VR or augmented reality, and I just want to try to stay updated, to keep updated with all this technology.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting you said, because you said when you started out you were doing simulations with engineers because you like trains, right? Lots of money. You stop a train that costs lots of money, accidents, right? So it's a wonderful place for you to do simulations because of that aspect. But it's cool because it's almost like, you said you were building out websites or to create your own learning platforms and learning experiences. Then we've gotten, the e-learning where just you can do plug and play. And now the same thing's happening, I think, with VR, where there's been places that have had the money to invest in that, like the aeronautics and the aviation. But now the tools are coming to us, right?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
makers, which is amazing. Now, my next thing that I want to see is you implement some seriously awesome scenarios in the VR environment, right?
Wow,
That would be fun.
definitely. Yeah, I have to keep the same mindset to build those interactions. Definitely, it applies to all these technologies, like the logic, what's happening, the story in
Yeah,
that interaction. Yeah.
that'll be super awesome. I'm excited. One of these days I'll be coming to one of your VR simulation sessions.
Wow, maybe I can share with you, and you can download your phone and just put on your headsets, or I
Yeah,
don't know.
I've got my own glasses. Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
They're not sophisticated.
Oh no, yeah, go
they're
cheap.
foamy Google glasses. Like they're.
Yeah. Me too. I just put my phone and yeah.
It's pretty cool. Although I'm waiting. My next thing is I want to have the hand interactions, because I think that's kind of the next level. The memory of the motions, so that
Yeah, I
right.
know.
And for you, that's going to be important, right? Because you're just being familiar with an environment is different than actually interacting with it.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. Yeah. And the technology is making it easier for us. There are apps now that you can develop your own. You don't need to be a programmer, which is good.
Yeah.
So
Although
yeah.
that wouldn't stop you.
Yeah, no, I'll be
You could probably learn it and be like, it's okay, I'll just spend my weekends learning how to.
yeah, I try. I have a 3-year-old boy now that keeps me busy on the weekend, but yeah, I always try when he's sleeping to do my own things.
I know you're a dedicated mom and you love him very much. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Taste. This has been wonderful. I love learning about your story. This is so cool. And it's awesome because I know you're the person who's going to keep on learning, keep on. They're lucky to have you where you are. They're lucky to have you.
Oh, I'm gonna share this video with them.
Awesome. She didn't pay me to say that.
Yeah.
I know this is real. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this interview. And once again, Thais, thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day, rest of the day.
Thank you. Yeah, bye. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye, Thais.